See, it wasn't me last time, it was him.
Okay, we'll call the October 15th, 2019 Barnes County North School Board meeting to order. Like to recognize our teachers, and I'm not sure who, I like recognize you, but I don't know who you are, I didn't get your,
I'm Ann Willett, I'm from PFM Financial Advisors.
okay,
I'm here to talk about refinance.
refinance, okay, welcome.
Thank you.
Mr. Severson, we'll turn to you first, thank yous.
Just a couple, the coaches and advisors for the hard work and dedication this fall. Congratulations to the following students. So they got the GRIT Awards for September. And GRIT, again, is growth, respect, integrity, and teachable qualities. Be Kaylin Hoffbeck, Jen Elston, Carter Anderson, Destiny Englehart, Jordan Guthmiller, and Charlotte Mueller. And then congratulations to our BCN student homecoming court, King Tristan Rolson, Queen JC Rudolph. King candidates were Colby Bruner, Braden Hansen, and Dylan Kobernick. And our Queen candidates were Tina Brannon, Courtney Fick, and Natasha Verba. And then congratulations to our BCN staff homecoming court, King John Samuelson and Queen Emily Barnes. And our King candidates were Bud Cruff, Stacy Schaefer, and Daniel Tomaszewski. And our Queen candidates were Danielle Bussy, Kelly Scott, and Whitney Tweed.
You're struggling
Okay.
tonight with that, aren't you?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Severson.
It's pretty easy to remember Bossy.
I know, right?
I'm just saying.
Any changes or additions to the agenda? We have Mr. Severson, principal.
Just one at the end, and it's just on storm days for 9-month employees.
Where do you want that done?
And just at the end.
At the end?
Yeah, under other of new business,
Storm days?
yeah.
Is there a motion to approve amended agenda?
Also motion.
I'll second.
Lori? All in favor of approval of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Consent agenda, which is minutes, bills, financial reports, and pledge of securities. Now that we switched, we still need pledge of securities? Do that
This
sweep?
last time.
This last
It's for
time?
this last quarter ending September 30th.
Gotcha, okay. So any questions on any of those items?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Chad?
Yep.
Michelle?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Lori?
Yep.
Mike?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
Move to committee reports.
You want to go ahead and let Ann present?
Yep, we can do that.
Jump down to the new business and have her go ahead and
Yep. we can do
present,
that.
and then that way she doesn't have to sit through all the
Okay,
discussion.
Always welcome to stay.
Well, if
Paying her to be here, come on now.
you really want to, we can continue, but
So what we have for you tonight are two resolutions. Basically, there's the one providing for the sale of refinancing the lease bonds from 2012. And right now, rates are so low that the school district can save a significant amount of money by refinancing those bonds even as taxable certificates. So we ran the numbers, and it looks like the first time we ran them, the savings were, right around $1 million. They're a little bit less, rates have gone up a smidge, so right now I have about $973,000. And obviously that might fluctuate a little bit as time goes on and rates kind of move up and down. But the great thing is that when you sell certificates of indebtedness, there's a resource through the state that is the credit enhancement program. And you can participate in that program, and automatically the certificates will carry a AA2 Moody's rating, which is based on the state's rate, or their credit rating. So that's a really great rating to have on your certificates, and it'll help you get a better interest rate. So I think the two resolutions, there's the first would be resolution providing for participation in the school bond credit enhancement program, and then the second would be the resolution providing for public sale of $10,535,000 state aid refunding certificates of indebtedness.
So on your notice of bond sale, it
Mhm.
has Wimbledon, Courtney, Wimbledon Public School District Number 7, down here for Amy Darby to sign. I suggested go Barnes County North instead of Wimbledon.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
I
will
didn't
let,
catch that.
John know that. I didn't even see that.
I didn't either.
Well, it would have worked for
And
us.
they,
but-
and they got the description right on which counties we're in too?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Yep,
correct.
that's right.
Oh, so that was a problem.
Barnes, Stutzman, and Williams. So we don't know what the rate would be, the interest rate actually, or do we?
Not until the day of sale.
Okay.
So I think the plan is right now to sell November 13th. So then that day, we will take bids and we'll compile all those bids for you and we call it a results of sale and list the bids that we receive and then you're able then to review those bids and accept or adopt or deny a resolution that night.
And is that interest rate then locked in for the rest of the
Yeah.
loan? Okay. Can we, you had the question about,
Do we, as a school district, then have to vote because we are raising our indebtedness or not?
No,
We don't,
no, and certificates of indebtedness don't count against your debt limit.
okay?
Much like lease revenue bonds don't count against your debt limit, certificates don't either.
Won't either, okay.
Right.
and so then this would abolish the building
Authority.
authority after this,
Yeah.
and then the school would be the responsibility of the school as a whole?
I think the way that John explained it was that basically cash will now be backing the payments rather than the lease payment. that
Lease
you
payment to
pay
back it.
to the building authority.
So is there any opportunity to pay this out off early by going, because I think our old bond, we couldn't ever pay off early. I don't think there was ever a point where
There was
they
a,
would let us, throw extra money and break it.
Sure.
Can you
yeah,
do that?
Yeah, we can have a call in there, absolutely. So a call is an early redemption. So basically, we would set a date and say, as of this date or any date after that, you can prepay the bonds.
Okay, that would be
Okay.
kind of nice.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm really optimistic when I say that, but.
any other fees that we're not looking at when you go
No,
through
these
this?
are, the numbers that we ran are all net of the fees. So
Net
obviously,
fees,
there's
okay.
there's the fee to take the certificates to
Right.
market. So that would be, rating agency fee, PFM.
Which we
fee,
all had
bond
to do before,
insurance.
that's why I was questioning, is that,
Right,
you
right.
figured that in
Yep,
someplace?
that's all net in the
Okay.
savings.
That's
Yep.
quite a fee though, isn't it?
So
Total?
do you
Do know what
ready-
that is?
What's that?
What is the total fees? Do you know what the actual cost of the total fees to do that would be?
I had it estimated at 75,000,
Okay,
and that is including we would likely go for an underlying rating as well because of the size of the issue. So that would be based on the school district's credit rating. And then it has the enhanced rating as well. That enhanced rating, when you have an underlying rating, it's all rolled into one, so it's not an additional fee. And then there's obviously bond counsel, they have to issue
All
the
the
legal
issue- that's what I was
opinion and
questioning,
do
was all that
And
type
then
of
we
thing.
will conduct the bond sale and prepare all the documents and take it to market and market it. And then, there will be a paying agent / escrow agent fee, which is normal for bond issues. Your lease bonds have a trustee, which typically is more expensive. A trustee is more expensive than an escrow / paying agent. They will just oversee the escrow, and then the payments that you make on the certificates, they will be made to the paying agent. So they will then distribute the funds to bondholders.
So there's no outlay on our part, it all ties into this?
Right.
Okay, that was my question, because a lot of them bonds, I know we had a lot of costs that were associated with getting that bond payment.
Right, we roll it all into the bond issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there-
Take care of all that, and then we theoretically are looking at saving about 950,000.
So and they're kind of level savings, so what that means is it's about 80,000 a year that you'll be saving. That's kind of how it shakes out. When you get the new payments as opposed to the old payments, you should be saving
The amortization
80,000
schedule,
every year.
okay.
Yeah.
Is there any disadvantage in doing this?
Well, I guess rates are at a historical low, so I can't see that they would go much lower. So that would be the biggest risk, is if for some reason rates went even lower, maybe you would miss out on some savings. But other than that, I mean, you can wait until, so this is a taxable advance refunding, which means that the date that you can prepay them is actually in 2022, I believe. And so these funds will be sitting in escrow, so it'll effectively pay off your lease bonds, but bondholders won't have to, call in their bonds until 2022. So then the other risk there, then, I mean, theoretically, you could wait till 2022, but then the savings might not be there,
Right.
so.
I don't know, $1 million is nothing to sneeze at for savings.
It's not, so typically, we say, especially for an advance refunding, we like to have at least 3% savings. And I think the savings were between 7 and 8% on this one, so that's a very good level of savings.
Yes.
We typically don't see that high of savings.
I am glad you're here to explain this, because as I read this, I'm thinking, ooh.
Yeah, because I was always under the impression we couldn't do anything till
So was
22.
I.
Right. But it is, you can do a taxable advance refunding, and what that means is you can basically pay them off early. Like I said, there's an escrow, and that'll stay till 2022, but rates are so good right now that it still
Yeah.
is saving you money to
Right.
do that. We used to be able to be tax exempt, but with the tax reform bill, that was kind of one of the ways to save money in the federal budget, was to take those away, so. But taxable rates are good right now too, so it's a good deal.
So you need from us,
Some resolutions is what you,
Right, the two, so
I
the,
didn't see the first one.
so it's the resolution providing for the public sale for November 13th, and then the other one is the credit enhancement resolution.
Cover our current shortfall that we've had in income this year.
so first we need the motion for the public sale, I would guess, right?
I don't know that there's really
Does it make a
set
difference which,
order, but
okay,
yeah, both of them need to.
Done individually.
yes.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 1.
I can second that resolution.
Okay,
Okay,
And that is for the
Sale.
public sale?
Public sale.
public sale,
Okay. Judy?
roll call,
Chad?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Lori?
Yep.
Mike?
yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Brett?
yes.
That one's approved. The other one we need for the public sale. For-
Providing participation in school bond
Yeah.
credit enhancement.
I
You
so
got that
move.
one? Did you get the one?
I'll second.
And you got roll call.
Chad?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
What else do you need from us?
I don't need anything else. I will, when I get back in the office, we'll just request the information that we need from you to be able to prepare the prospectus, and then.
And you're gonna fix up that wording on
Yeah,
that
yeah,
before we?
John, I think, Amy, did you, email John? Oh, the Wimbledon.
The Wimbledon.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
I'll
let him know.
email him all of that information.
And then I think usually they take care of publishing the notice. So
Yes, he did
we'll
say
let him-
that.
We'll let him know that, and then, they can take care of publishing that, so that just has to be published.
Can
at
you
least
do
10
the
days.
actual bid opening in your office and then
Yeah.
send us the list, okay?
Yes, so the way that it works is we take those bids online, through a system called Parity. There aren't many, investors, banks, underwriters that bid by hand anymore these
Yeah.
days. So, yeah, we take them through the online portal and, run all the numbers based on the lowest interest rate. And
So
send
then
everything
we
out.
obviously need a school board, do we need
We meet
a,
that night.
do we
We
need
meet
a
that
building
night.
authority meeting
To do
to
anything
do
on that?
anything to like,
I'm not sure. Let me
Okay.
ask
Check with John on that.
Because he said that basically the ground lease and the lease between the school and the building authority will be kind of just dissolved.
okay?
Right.
But let me make sure with him.
See
that
if we just
building
have to
authority
do
doesn't
something
have
building
to-
authority wise.
Cause wouldn't we actually have to like close down the building authority, like disband in a sense, just to make it
I
on the
don't know
books,
if-
right?
I don't know if you
Come
have
on.
to disband it or if it's just,
Okay,
Well,
The
John helped
lease
set-
will be dissolved, but the corporation's still there.
I just ran her by John and see,
Yeah.
because he
Yeah.
helped set it up before.
Yeah,
so.
he's the attorney, so we'll
Yeah.
make sure that we've got all the legal i's and t's dotted and crossed, so,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so.
Okay.
Anything else?
Any
No.
other questions?
Okay, so we'll keep an eye on rates too. So what we do, especially with our refinancings, is closer to the sale date, we'll run it based on what we're seeing in the market. And we'll kind of keep you posted what they're at. I don't know if there's a level of savings that you would decide that it's not worth it, but,
I guess we've never talked about it as a
No.
board, so.
well, we'll keep you posted. And you can,
Yours is obviously 3%, you think it's not worth it at that point?
yeah,
Yeah.
if it's under 3%, we wouldn't really recommend doing an advance refund.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks
Watch
for
out,
coming
watch out
out.
for deer.
Yeah, yeah, well, at least the roads are pretty clear, and I'm only going to Jamestown.
Oh, okay.
So,
And the moose.
Watch out for deer.
There was a moose over there.
Yeah.
Really?
There was a moose over
Oh,
there.
yeah?
Oh, gosh.
Yes, there was.
Yeah, that you really don't want to.
You don't
You're not
wanna,
going that way for
you don't wanna
Jamestown.
hit that. That could cause,
So they
yeah,
wreck things.
that could really mess up
It
your
was a
vehicle.
tiny one, I thought it was a horse.
just let me know if you have any.
There was a car pulled over, so then we pulled over, take it.
She really is your
Other
little
vehicles.
sister,
And I've got
isn't she?
a list of information that John's gonna need by tonight, so I'll get that
You're
to
not
you
teaching
tomorrow.
biology, are you?
Thank you.
From where I saw it compared to where the
You
old
too,
people
drive safe.
saw it, I thought it was a horse.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Next time
Okay.
we get to walk.
Committee reports. President's report, I have none. Career and Tech, we met yesterday, not a lot, we went over. Harold was there, give the financial report, I do have that if anybody wants to take a peek at
Was he
that.
optimistic for you?
He was happy when he stopped in and saw us earlier in the
Yeah.
day.
Good, he's in good tone for us. Basically where we're at there, we're, like Harold said, basically what hurts us down there, the only thing that might bother us is if we get less on ITV classes, which is 4% for each school district, so that's our spot that might hit us. And the question being is, we've held our assessments kind of level, so then we're just deciding what we want for our interim fund and if we want to ramp it up or wait till we need to jump. We talked about our house project. We have 6 very interested people in the house project, so we're gonna try to come up with a way to maybe do a bid process on this house earlier, so we could give them some options of what they wanna put in for kitchens and some of that type of stuff. So we're gonna try to put some, help them with putting some allotments in for there, for so much for cabinets and that, and if it was above that, they would have it, but that way we could lock it in and give them a little bit of say into what going into the house. As far as we are, we've already got windows, we've got windows, soffit, and shingles, so from there, they could pick sidings, they could pick their fixtures, they, if we got some of this stuff so we could bid early, but we've never had the option of 6 interested people before. We've always had more of a spec thing and sold it, so. Looking at that, we talked a little about parent-teacher conferences. From the vocational side, they're gonna come out to the schools, I think, Mr. Wilson, that's right, the first one?
Yep.
And the problem is, we hit them a lot about the same time, so we're gonna have people at every school, but we probably are gonna look at who has the most people in those classes and bring them out, because us in Maple Valley running the same day. Litchfield Marion's running 2 days, the 5th and the 7th, and I believe we're going the 7th, is what we got. So a lot of them are running on the 7th, so we can't spread our whole group to all the schools to get them. So we're gonna look at who has the most kids in each class to send that instructor out to the schools. So. Other than that, not a lot. We talked a little about some professional developments, and the other thing was vehicle. We're looking at, right now, Valley City Public pays us to do some transports in town from the high school up to the vocational center. But as many kids as we're bringing some of the 8th grade up with ag, it's running us 3 vehicles up and back, so that's pulling 3 staff people. So we're looking to purchase maybe a bus or something so we could get just a one, so we ain't pulling 3 people. We're pulling Derek, the janitor, Scott, and either one of the other instructors, so we're running 3 people up and back. And it's not once, it's 3 times a day. Got morning block, there's 3 blocks, so we're running 9 trips, so we're looking at purchasing a bus, looking at trading that one little van we got, or selling it. I think they talked to Bud, did they talk to you, Ms. Severson, about, they said you guys might be,
Yeah,
you might be
they're
interested
still
in it?
talking about it, so.
So we would need to know what your thoughts are on that
Yep.
at some point, so. That's all I have for vocation. Mrs. Bitts, technology report.
Okay, we have our first family engineering night coming up on Monday. Currently, we have 20 students that are signed up and 15 parents. So that's a pretty nice group to start out with. We're gonna be doing Bloxels, which is coding and making their own video games. I thought if this meeting got a
help
little long,
out.
I should make a video game on the side here, you know that? Then, teachers have been meeting weekly. I hold a weekly ed chat. And basically we can talk about anything. We did this last year too, and we've just made it this year that it's gonna be every Wednesday over noon. And so they come in here over their lunch hour, and the topic can be technology tools, it can be other things that might be affecting in their classroom. Last year we talked about like technology misuse and digital citizenship skills and things like that. But this year with our strategic planning, we're focusing on the ISTE standards, which we looked at to make up our technology plan. And those, that just stands for International Society in Technology and Education. So there's different, there's 5 different standards that teachers look at when incorporating technology into the learning environment. So we're taking a standard and working on that probably 2 times, 2 weeks in a row. We'll work on the same standard, talk about that, pick it apart, and come up with some examples or some tools that meet that standard. So it's really the sharing time for teachers, and it's been a very positive feedback, and I think it's good for us to do and reflect on, because I'm assuming that technology will be a big piece of that strategic planning too. Plus, we have to do our tech plan update this spring. So I'm working on finishing up some templates for the quick alerts. When we did our mass evacuation today, I tested one of the templates that was built for just a quick alert that I can just tap from my phone and it just sends the alert. It's all pre-set up, so you don't have to go through and identify what group of people get it and what you want the message to say and whatnot. You can just set up a quick alert, tap on it, it sends it out. So I'm gonna work on setting up what we want for other quick alert templates, depending on the situation that we're in, and then have that available to a couple other people just in case I'm gone. Somebody else needs to be able to shoot out this information. And then the end of this month, I'll be attending the yearly NDATL Technology Conference. That's just the state of North Dakota puts on every year. Not the state of North Dakota putting it on, but it's put on by an organization, NDATL, but it's our one tech conference that's in state every year. So, any questions?
I do have one. So what is the advantage of putting that alert on Facebook? The fact that you were doing that drill, I'm curious why it was on Facebook.
To let everybody know what's going on.
But then you let everybody know what's going on.
Yep, and that's like our communication, then parents can't say that they didn't know.
Okay.
So
I
if
think
we're
the
not-
issue is
The issue was that, I think what we
the
issued,
site
the site
of where
was
our
listed.
children were going was on there. And I think that's,
I mean, could we have opened ourselves up for something more because everybody knew where everybody was gonna be at?
I mean, instead of listing that, we could do our designated site
I
instead of
wasn't the only one
listing
that
the
thought
site.
of that.
But our people, when we evacuate to that site, our people have to know where they're going. So our reunification site, when we send it out
Okay.
in an alert, in a real situation, we would need to send
Okay.
out where they are to pick up their students.
So here's the question.
But does that have to be on
Would that be
Facebook?
on Facebook if it's a real
It-
emergency?
It doesn't have to be on Facebook, it's just another, it's just another form of communication for us. When I send it out to a parent listserv,
But that's just getting to us. Facebook's getting to everybody.
right, yes, but it's also, once you send it out to the parent listserv, it's out there for the world. You don't know where
That's
that
true.
email goes. If we decide it doesn't have to be on Facebook, it's just that we're all told to communicate, more communication is
Yeah.
better
I think
than
the
less.
feedback a lot of us got is, should we have designated and advertised our site? I guess that's,
I guess I would have to take that back to the BERT team. Yeah.
Theoretically, if you're gonna have a crisis, and that's where we wanna locate people too, why do we want everybody, if they're gonna cause us a situation, why do we wanna let them know
Where
where
we're
we're gonna
going.
send them?
The other thing too, just by happenstance too, on figuring out, how did you feel about that it was put out there? Is that something that bothers you or whatnot? Because I mean, it is your place that's being put out there, you know, and then that'll be a conversation that we'll have to have with the other ones too, is this is how we put it out there. Is there anything that you might have questions on? I don't really want it out that way, you know, it's listserv or whatnot, but yeah,
I just,
I can
I guess
see.
my gut was like, if this were actively happening and then somebody looks on Facebook, oh, there's all the kids over there now, so now we know where to go. That was kinda,
We can definitely not use that as our source and identify what our sources of communication wanna be. Because when we make that phone call, we give out that address
Right.
to everyone in the district, but I would turn that again back to our building
Yep.
response team
Yeah.
and the sheriff that comes and sits on that too. And I think, Mike, you sit on that team as well, the building response, the BERT team?
When he knows
well,
what's happening.
when I know when it is or whenever, yeah. Because it's always during the day usually, so no, it doesn't work for that.
I mean, I know it's kinda uncharted territory or emergency response that we're working with, but I guess that would just be one question is
Yep.
whether you'd wanna be able to, do we really wanna know where we're all
Well,
going?
we're
We're
all-
having that emergency, you know?
Especially when we just do drills. I mean, because it's gonna be the same place, the way it sounded, it was gonna be the same place every time. That'll be just the place to go, right? Is that kind of the?
That was never
It depends.
communicated to our parents that that would always be the same place. To my knowledge, that has never been
Okay.
said to
because
our
it'll depend on the
community.
situation.
Well, but one of 3 or 4 places that you've identified.
Yep.
I
Our
mean,
team has identified places and we let the parents know of those places upon the, the action.
I guess my big thing, I mean, if we have parent listserv, yes, it's probably gonna get put out on Facebook by a parent,
yeah.
but to have the school put it out there,
I can go delete it off. It's just I've always communicated in all those different ways because I've always heard from people we didn't know about this.
right,
So.
You know,
I can
and
go
I-
delete it
I-
off
I
and
under-
can bring it back to the team. The problem with us out here is like when we evacuate, most times, say like in West Fargo, they have, where'd they go, the Shields Arena or whatever? Where did they evacuate to?
West Fargo goes to the hockey rink.
Okay, hockey arena. We don't have a general public location to go to.
Right.
So, yeah, again, I guess there's,
I feel like it's known at other schools. When we went
See,
through
I
it.
don't know,
We,
that was,
like, everybody knows community, whether they're inside the school community or not, knows that Northern Cass goes to Central Cass and Central Cass goes to Northern Cass, and that's no different, is it?
probably not.
I mean, location, you're out in the middle of nowhere, but
So maybe we're just being a little too
no,
cautious
those are
on
good
our
questions,
part.
'cause we have questions from parents today of like, well, when we walk in, why can't we, if our kids are upset, why can't we just go stand by our kids? It makes
Yeah,
sense as a
it's why
parent,
we
I
do
wanna
the
go stand by
drills.
my
Yeah.
kid,
No.
what's the big deal? But when you start looking at it from an emergency response and how we're guided by the officials that work in that field, that's not what you do. So, and I guess like our sheriff and stuff has never said not to announce that.
It was just
I
a
mean-
question we heard,
Yeah,
and we're just
yeah.
throwing feedback to you.
And maybe,
Yeah,
maybe it was
absolutely.
more the Facebook post of it than,
Yeah.
than I, what whatever, just take it back and, take it
Yeah.
back to the Burt team, to your
Yep, I'll take it
building
back to the
team.
Burt team, and I
Yeah.
can delete it off of Facebook right now, I mean, it's already been out there on Facebook,
No,
but I can delete it off of there,
That's,
it's not a big deal.
yeah.
Any other questions?
Feel like the same stuff.
No.
Yeah, I
Okay.
wish I could more clearly answer that question,
Yeah.
but that involves more than me.
Yeah. Okay,
We
thanks.
did well up to that.
And by the way, nice use of the microphone. Just stay.
What did you say?
Nice use of the microphone, Mrs.
Oh, 'cause I'm yelling?
Building and grounds.
Just, instead of building grounds, transportation, we
Yep.
need to set up a meeting, and that'd be Mike, Robert, and Brett. Brent, I think, is the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay, so if we can get a date, Rob can't meet next Monday, be the only time he said he couldn't meet, so maybe after meeting, the three of us can try to hammer out a meeting date and get it
Okay.
to Rob and Brent.
Okay. Pre-K 6 principals report.
We submitted a grant request for a music grant and we're given about $1,400 to use in our music department. And it has to be geared towards mental health of some kind. So Mrs. Bollingberg and I discussed getting wireless speakers for the playground. We have lots of dancers and stuff, so we thought that would be a good use. And then they could be used other places too, but Miss Spitz said we would have some money left over, so that's still kind of up in the air of what we're using it for. I went to Jamestown last Thursday to the Steve Dunn writing training with 3 other teachers, and the feedback was great from the teachers. And we have various trainings throughout the year, K1 and then 2, 3. Wimbledon Fire Department came last week, and then we did reschedule Daisy to be coming this following Tuesday because the storm came on Thursday. So, and then our conferences are for the 7th, but pre-K will be holding conferences for Friday, November 1st, because Ms. Mears is available all Friday. So, any questions?
You have any questions? No, thank you. 712 principal report, Mr. Wilson.
So we touched upon it a little bit. We had the school evacuation drill. We put in 911 call. We had the sheriff out on the reunification site. We had 2 deputies here. We had the Wimbledon Fire Department show up and use it as a practice scenario, and then as well as the Daisy Fire Department also came out on site. It's given us a lot of good, valuable information on to evaluate the process, getting feedback on what worked, what didn't work, so in the future we can fine tune these things to get it. But overall, Randy from the Sheriff's Department and Pat and them, they thought it was really, really well. They had a couple suggestions or whatnot, but overall, for the most part, it went well. And I attribute that to all of the stuff that we've been doing that's led up to this, rather than trying to get this done right away or whatnot, because as we were talking, there aren't a lot of schools in the state who have taken it to this point to actually do the evacuations and relocate students. There are very few schools who have actually gone to that part. They put plans in place, or if this happens, then this is what we're gonna do. But to dedicate actual time and go through with it, there's not a lot of schools that have gone to that part.
Can I ask how students handle that?
They did really well.
Okay.
I mean,
Did it terrify anybody?
no.
Okay.
Teachers did a really good job in elementary explaining what was going on, and we talked about the specific drill that there was a chemical spill on the highway, and the behavior in the shop I felt like was
It was
really
so
good.
If you wanna
Quiet.
see it, it's playing on Lee's phone right now.
Yeah.
I'm doing
I
screen
mean-
recording on my computer.
Our elementary kids were lined up in classes. We lined kids up down the middle. The high school were in the back, so our runners could get to the certain. Honestly, yeah, they complimented our students and the sheriff's department said it was really good.
I
So
didn't see that when you're watching it too.
And it's a thank you to the board for allowing us to, take it to this, to dedicate as much time and resources and stuff that we have to this, which we hope we never ever have to do it. But in the instance if something does happen, we're that much better prepared for it, you know. And when Mrs. Albright and I started us down this pathway, my first year, you know, and now it's progressed to this, and she's done a really, really good job of taking it to the next step, you know, where she has the primary responsibility of making all the contacts and making sure everything is going. So she's done a heck of a job doing that.
The flu shots were scarier for kids. And adults, yeah.
And we had homecoming this week. It went really, really well. We had a few bumps in the transition with the Valley City Co-op in relation to homecoming. Next year it'll be even better. Thanks to Lee for lending his vehicle, and him and I were driving in the parade. Tristan and JC really enjoyed that, and then we actually ended up having quite a few students who ended up showing up for the parade, you know, so that was really good. And I joked with Lee that that's probably our new tradition of doing that in there, but we have to remember to get more candy because we ran out. So, but
Long parade though.
yeah, you know, and then Mrs. Bitts and I attended the Valley City Pep Rally too that day, and because we were trying to figure out whether or not we want to try and be a part of that or keep it the way that we have it right now. Our students really enjoy the way we have it right now. Trying to take some of our kids to there and then trying to involve it. It was really, really long. We left at 3 o'clock and they didn't get done till around 3:15, 3:20. You know, and then there was a point where they dismissed their elementary students and it was still going on, but it was just kind of chaotic. And I don't know how involved they would allow us to be able to get, or if there would be a sense of separation, DCM part, Valley City part. So, you know, for next year, I'm still thinking allow the football players and that to be able to go there and do that because they were a part of that, and then just focus on the stuff that we do here, and then still representing our school in the parade, you know, as far as that goes. October 23rd, Mrs. Doctor and I will take the 7th graders to the Midwest Ag Manufacturing Day in Jamestown. That'll be the first of, there's quite a few, I didn't realize how many manufacturing days there are, but the 7th graders will be going to that one. I had mentioned it at the last meeting about the pre-ACT testing. I met with the staff and we were discussing it, and we're gonna go with our 9th and 10th graders. We're gonna give the pre-ACT test to, and we're gonna start doing that yearly. We have to figure out the day. The good thing about it is that pre-test is only 2 hours and 10 minutes long, and we can give that whenever we would like, but it would be nice to coincide it at the same time as the juniors are taking the ACT. We can do it schedule-wise, we can get that, but it'll just allow us, because that's the ACT test is by far the longest test that our kids have to sit and take, and none of them are prepared to sit for 4 hours taking a test. So if they can kind of get some of that practice as a freshman, a sophomore, of having to sit and take that long of a test, and then we can use that data that we get back from there to kind of help us guide what areas that we have to start focusing in on math, reading, science, to help us improve those scores for the ACT test, because that's one of the biggest accountability tests that we have at the high school level, is how are your students doing on the ACT test, you know? So that's what we're looking at doing, starting this year. I sent out an email today about the school accountability report on that. It came with the letter that I also put in there to get there, and if people have questions, they can call the school. The one area that has gained some backlash is the student engagement aspect, because schools for as many points as that's being used for, what does it signify? Because if you, and it's worth 135 points, but even the highest schools are only getting 66, 67 of that, and we got 49. But it's not translating into higher achievement scores.
It's just
So-
a hard thing to measure,
Yeah.
because it's a student survey.
And currently, it's
So-
20 questions that they get, and currently, there's 3 areas. There's disengaged, there's compliant, and then there's engaged. And there's no clear-cut definition defining the difference between compliant and engaged. Because we don't receive it, schools don't receive any points for compliant. But if compliant means students are doing what you want them to do, how you want them to do it, when you want them to do it, how is that a bad thing?
Right, I would
You
think
know,
you're right.
So if
Right.
it's, but at the same time, okay, if you're getting a high engagement, shouldn't that mean that your ELA and math achievement score should be higher? And it doesn't translate to that. So there's a lot of, and the state is looking at the last week's conference and then this week's conference on holding a session to discuss how to go about better doing that. So,
It's just a hard thing to measure.
yeah. And, yeah, the last thing that Mrs. Bussey and I and then Mr. Severson will be at the leadership conference,
Meeting
administrators
tomorrow.
conference, starting tomorrow and then through Friday.
Hopefully you don't see too many horses along the way.
Any questions?
Or you'll be walking.
Okay, thank you.
We do have to ride with him tomorrow.
Mr.
Maybe you
Severson,
should try.
Superintendent
Yeah,
report.
just conference starts tomorrow on the Thursday, Friday. The strategic planning session, 28th, we meet 10 to 1, and then again on November 4th for our final one. If we need more, he might add one just because of the fact that we used that first one for orientation. Parent-teacher conferences are the 7th. We don't have school on the 8th or the 11th. And then school board convention is next week. And then I'll just go right into the activities
Okay.
director report. We rescheduled the volleyball match. It was supposed to be Thursday night, is now Monday, October 21st, with MPB here at BCN starting at 5 o'clock. Wednesday, the 23rd, we have our District 5 seating meeting in Napoleon at 10 o'clock. And then volleyball districts start on the 31st. They go the 31st, November 1st and 4th. And then the regionals are the November 11th, 12th, and 14th.
Any questions, Mr. Severson, either report? Okay, thank you. Old business, we got sick leave bank up.
Nothing
Nothing
really,
new?
just that it's, we're continuing it. We meet again Monday, the 21st at 7:45. So we meet, and we'll be trying to hammer out some of the things. And then I think the plan was to have it done by Christmas and then bring it to the board and then get the board look at it and then amend it into the negotiated agreements.
The policy
Okay.
committee look at it before
They can, yes.
Good, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. And another tuition-free agreement, new business.
Yeah, I've got tuition-free agreement for an 8th grader from Jamestown. I've got one for, I've got a tuition-free and open enrollment for a 4th grader from Valley City and a open enrollment for a 7th grader from Jamestown.
Jeez, Mr. Wilson, recruiting.
So, tuition-free, where's, how many was for that?
We got 2 tuition-frees, one
Okay,
for.
because we can do them together?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Roll call, Amy.
Chad?
Yeah.
Michelle?
Yes.
Cindy? Yes. Lori? Yep. Mike?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
And open enrollment, we
We got
have
2 of those,
two of
yeah.
them, right?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion for that.
I'll second.
By Lee. When you're ready, roll call there, Amy.
Chad?
Yeah.
Michelle?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Lori?
Yep.
Mike?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Brett?
Calendar amendment proposal.
We had a discussion regarding our early outs. Basically what they're doing is they're cutting into, we have to send kids out of the building and then bring them back. So what we'd like to do is amend those, early outs and make them late starts. And what days are those?
So that
Mr.
would be
Rosner?
December 11th, April 1st, and May 8th. Because after the last 2 years, you know, when we have the late starts, if we have students in the building, they need to be supervised. But if we need to have all our staff members taking part of the PD, it's hard to do both. So having the late starts, it won't interfere with any of that. It won't cause as much disruption to after-school care for families as well, of trying to figure out, well, how do I get there 2 hours before I'm normally getting there. It just, looking at the way our school operates, it just makes so much more sense to do the late start rather than the early release.
Helps with the vocational, because
Yeah.
you can flip your classes,
Yep.
it always has seemed to make more sense in the
Yep.
beginning with the late start.
Way to use out of the box.
I didn't mind.
So we need a motion to
Need
do
a motion
that?
to amend the calendar, yep.
Okay,
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Chad,
Yeah.
Michelle,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Lori,
Yep.
Mike,
yes,
Lee,
Yes.
Brett.
Yes.
okay.
Yep.
What were them 3 dates you had?
No, December 11th, April 1st, and May 8th.
May 8th, okay. Good. Contract amendment.
We just need to amend, Mrs. McGee's contract. She is teaching an extra course. We had some kids that needed, actually needed to get some classes in, so she's teaching a seventh period. So we just need to amend her contract for 1/7 on that.
1/7 additional.
Yep,
okay.
1/7 additional.
I so move.
I second.
Roll call, Amy?
Chad,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Lori. Yep. Mike,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Brett.
Yes.
Bus bid.
Okay, we got 3. The one that, Harlow's came in at 81,005. Interstate Trucks came in at 81,250, and Hartley's came in at 83,000.
What was the last one?
Hartley's 83,000. The recommendation from our transportation guys is to go with, even though it's $200 more, to go with Interstate Trucks. They provide, we've got the DVR option, they put that on there as well, and that's $2,500. And then all of our buses right now currently are, that we've got are through Interstate Trucks. So their recommendation is to take the $81,250 bid plus the $2,550 for DVR for a total of $83,800. The other two didn't have the DVR option because we haven't, we've already stocked the trucks, and they just put that automatically on their bids when they do it. And then that way they just deliver them that way.
How big's the bus?
It's 53 seated 47.
You looking at for an activity bus, is that what it is, or
No, it's gonna be a route bus.
route bus?
Yeah.
That same configuration as the other ones that we're looking at?
Yep.
So they keep all their motors and
Yep.
drivetrain similar?
Yep.
I think he grew up in the city.
We putting all this into the equipment line, or are you gonna take, or what did we have budget? I don't have my budget in front.
80,000, I think.
No, we had 85. but-
Oh, wait, 85, okay.
So we can put her all in the one line, item,
Yep.
okay.
I make a motion to buy a bus
I'll second it.
With
from
the,
Interstate with the
Interstate
DVR.
Trucks.
okay. Interstate Trucks with the DVR for 83,800.
83,800, yep.
Okay.
With the cameras in the bus, yep.
That was my motion.
Okay,
Okay.
Chad second.
Yeah.
Okay, roll call.
Chad,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Brett.
Yes.
Okay, then we have business manager position. You did interviews, you
Yep, we
guys?
interviewed 3. You wanna talk about them, Lori, or do you want?
We had 3 really good interviews. We actually settled on one person because the person we had, Amy says most of her job, 80% of her job is doing payroll, and this person, all she does is payroll. So she is like a perfect fit. She probably because that really is a very hard thing to do. Lindsay Polk,
Pope, yeah.
Polk, okay.
And she has a master's degree.
Yeah, she really was a really good, if she takes it, it would be perfect for us. We told her the wage was $22 an hour.
That's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah, we told her to be in that with Cindy, so.
And she didn't voice any problem with it, but we also didn't offer her the job because we wanted to bring her forward to you guys.
Does
So
that
that's your
include
recommendation?
benefits too, or what kind of benefits do they have?
What-
Same as, I mean,
Yeah.
your non-certified staff.
That would just be the salary, that would just be the 22. And she
Well,
would have
there's
a
a little bit of a
single.
retirement fund, there's
They would have the same,
Single
up to the
family.
4% match, they'd have the health insurance, I mean, all the options.
Paid
and-
vacation.
Yes.
PTO,
Okay,
paid holidays.
standard whatnot.
Yes.
What are you, 23?
She really was the payroll, everybody, I mean, every business manager always talks about payroll. Payroll is tough, and if you have somebody who actually has all that knowledge coming in,
And benefits. That's a
yeah,
biggie.
yeah. It's really a, lucky we found her, I think.
We were
It's not
all
like
in
you-
agreement there at the
Yeah.
interview that she was the best.
She-
She mentioned it.
She applied because she wants to be able to use her education in a more expansive way.
She wants to
does
do more than just payroll.
And
Okay.
she'd like to spread her wings and do more.
And an opportunity to be in an environment
Actually
where
work
there's
with
people.
Work with people.
Yeah.
She sits in a
Oh,
cubicle.
she'll win on the.
Tell her we got crap to learn here.
But the hiring committee was in total agreement with, there wasn't a debate as to whether or not she was good or, we actually all totally agreed.
I say we take their recommendation and,
So we would need a motion
So
to.
Make a
accept
what do we
that.
want to do for a wage? 22?
oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
better
we
make
told
sure
her.
we got a wage before we,
Yeah, that's what
and
we
then
told her.
if she would say she needs $1 more or whatever, what's the,
I'd say if they thought she was such a golden fit, we could
Good.
adapt to that.
Adapt
okay.
to her.
Okay, as long as okay when I talk to her,
Yeah.
just, because I think at this point, I
Until
thought she said she made
accepts and
22.75.
Oh, really? Okay.
Make it happen.
Okay.
And you said she wanted to be notified tonight.
I can call her, yeah, I'll call her right away.
So we would need a motion.
So I make a motion
Michelle had the
to
motion.
offer, I forgot her name
Lindsay
already.
Polk.
Lindsay Polk.
The position as business manager.
At
Add
22.
22.
If she'll take it. But you have the leeway to move up if need
Okay.
be, I'd say.
I'll second it.
So do we want the leeway in that motion or just?
Yeah,
second?
she said
I,
22.
yes,
Yes.
22 with some leeway, should need be.
Why did I move on for a second? I'm such a.
Is there
Yeah,
leeway
we're-
to buy?
That was
Is there
just
leeway
terrible.
with
That was
No.
really
No, we were at the
bad,
top.
poorly.
I was against knocking it
You
down.
asked, are you sure that's gonna be okay?
Because they did leave it open, so.
Okay. We have
So
the
how do you
motion.
want it
I was
wor-
the
How do you
second.
want the motion worded?
You want 22 to 23 or something like that?
Yes, 22 to 23.
Okay,
Or you second?
okay,
'Cause I'm
roll call.
not really-
Chad.
Yepper.
Michelle,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Lori,
Oh, I forgot.
Mike,
Yes,
Lee,
Yes.
Brett.
Yes.
I forgot.
okay.
I'll run call her right now and then I'll give you guys an answer when I get home.
Okay, that would
Yeah.
be great.
Maybe
Then
another
if
motion
she
in
actually
here?
debates.
Yeah, let
anything,
us know if we have to renegotiate here.
Other thing, superintendent
You do say
evaluation.
10 days in, so we're just gonna have
Yep.
to-
Superintendent evaluation, we need it for next month. Paper form, or you want it sent out, or how would you guys like it? Like I have sent it out before,
The way you did it before was
the
great.
way I did before.
Yeah, because then I have to send that back, you snail mail, and I'm horrible at that.
Yep, no, just asking, so
Well, that thing.
that thing, yeah.
That thing you never do.
He's getting better at that.
I'm not doing it?
So we're gonna meet the 13th, so I'd like to get that back right around the 4th or 5th, little bit, time to put it together. Then sit down with Mr. Severson a little bit before. This is the informal one, more or less. The formal is March. So this is kind of just more of the informal one, but it's the same type of evaluation that we use. Would be the same one. I'll send it out electronically to everybody.
Let's see it once here, I wanna ask
Our
questions.
favorite thing to do. You could just give it to him now. and he
Yeah,
can
just
fill it
fill out right now, Brett, and
Fill it
then
out
turn it
right
back in.
Back off. See, when you go to the
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4 scale, ineffective, partially effective, effective, or highly effective, how do you guys rate that? I very rarely find anybody that's highly effective.
No, you don't.
No.
But if you.
And I don't wanna look negatively, but I usually give them like a
But
3 if I like their performance.
Okay,
I mean,
but if
I
you-
need sparks to fly out of their ears and stuff if they're in the number 4.
If you're consistent with it, that's,
Yeah.
it's the
And then if you have something to add to it, you don't just write a number. There is a nice big space where you can
Comments,
add
which
some
are very
comments.
appreciative when we put things together. It's
Because
nice
there
to have
are
some comments.
areas that people do excel, and if they're excelling, you should note that of why you graded them that, or rated them that.
Words are hard. Words are hard, numbers are much easier.
Yep.
But it is nice to have some comments when you
We
compile
have to do
something.
this with
There is
a
always
dozen
room
teachers each,
for words.
multiple
hard,
times.
So,
You're complaining about one?
hey, I'm
You
not.
have lots of time. Take
You
one
know.
section.
I see you being a
Couple
.5
days.
guy. Well, I can't decide, can I put a
That would be fun just to mess Mike
Oh,
up.
don't mess me up.
Everybody,
No, these are the numbers you use.
3.67.
I got enough calculating to start instead of 0.5 and 0.27.
3.72.
the trickiest part is that 3 is so wide.
Yeah.
The effective part is there's a huge
Well, it used to be
range.
that we could do S and U.
satisfactory or unsatisfactory?
And then that get you, so we went more to giving some little bit of
Thank you.
difference in that. So. But yeah, if I could get back roughly towards the first week in November, probably.
16 indicators we have to mark off. Did my
Real
first-
good.
Took me an hour.
Real
So, we got one more thing when Mr. Severson comes back. Is anything for correspondence or board discussion anybody has? Well, we're waiting for Mr. Severson.
So, Michelle, did you try to fill out the strategic plan thing that came?
I did it.
Mine didn't wanna work.
I filled
Okay.
mine out.
You did not. You
I did
wouldn't
too.
even- Why would you get one you're not on it?
I got one for the for the,
There he is.
the
Yeah,
whole,
he's on.
the whole, it was on the school board listserv.
Yeah, Dr. Schatz asked,
Oh, it went out to
everybody
everybody?
asked for staff,
I sent
the
mine.
strategic planning
What?
committee, and the school board. Those are
Okay,
the three.
well, then it must be my computer. Gosh darn it. I don't
It's
know
gotta
if it was
be
someone
in by
else's
Friday,
problem.
right?
But I tell you what, it takes a little bit of time.
It does.
I thought
Yeah.
I was gonna like,
That's what I thought too. We have to
Through
go
it, I
start.
was
So
like,
wait, I gotta think a
Put
little
some
bit.
thought.
Yeah.
dang it.
I put the words in there.
Can you do that again, Michelle?
Were we only supposed
You
to
can fill it out.
if
That's
we
all I
were
thought.
there?
No,
No, no, fill it out.
As long as I can whip through survey monthly and get it over.
Fill it out. But you do have to really,
It's nice
Don't
because
you?
It's
you
not
done it?
that
Have you two done it?
complicated.
it's the last question though,
Have you heard about our
the vision
raise?
statement was hard, or
About
mission
what?
statement.
When was it sent out?
Just yesterday.
Yeah.
just yesterday.
Well, and that's essentially what we spent the whole session on,
Yeah, that mission statement was,
was,
It'll be done
well,
before
and
Friday.
what the
Your
choices that
two
he
were
had were just a
both were on there
combination of him just
yesterday, I think.
adding or putting words into things.
It was later
Those
yesterday.
three choices weren't actually anything that was actually come up with. He just, because there was
I couldn't
debating
get
on
that
the
far,
word
really.
empower, cause somebody loved the word empower,
Yeah.
and
I like the word
Foundation.
foundation.
And foundation.
foundation, yeah.
But definitely not dreams and passion.
No, they didn't want that one. did they?
No,
But that's
funny.
on there.
Nobody,
Found
no, everybody
So-
said they liked it except me, and then after the meeting, everybody said
We
they
all
didn't
jumped
like
on
it.
her bandwagon.
It's like, really, you can't stand up in a meeting and say you don't.
Now's the time to handle, okay, if we have an issue with something, we should be able to bring it forth in front of each other because we're all adults.
oh
That's
yeah.
what you guys told me in my interview.
Did we? Well,
We were tired, that was at the end of the meeting.
You didn't
No,
ask
not
me.
your interview, we were tired at the end of the meeting, sorry. Whoa,
I'm like,
I'm done.
and then I got an email from Mike, I thought it was great, whatever you guys came up with after the fact.
That was one of them that was on there.
But neither one was on there then. They were, parts of them were on there.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
So your original was on there, the pursuit one, but but, so I don't even know which one I ended up putting on, because I was like confused, I was like, that's one, wait, no, that's neither
So he'll
one.
come next time and
So,
we'll be like,
tweak it.
well, this is what we decided and
Yes.
it's not on the survey. So-
I mean, it's close, it's just missing one
We
word.
actually.
Or like our new school mission statement? or-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that all looked.
But some of those first
Sappy.
questions
It
were a
did,
little
didn't it?
challenging.
They were,
They made you
So-
think.
they were.
Like,
Is that the SWOT analysis, the strengths, the weaknesses?
I don't know, can you address the storm day thing, or is it something like?
I did enjoy that.
Amy,
That
did you
hasn't been
address
talked
the
about
storm
yet.
day thing he was talking about? He wanted on the list, the
Yeah,
agenda.
that's next.
Can you
You
do
know,
that or
if
not?
he's got it, or?
I can let you know what,
Okay.
okay, so when you were discussing benefits for the new calendar, new fiscal year for classified staff, it was brought up about the storm days for your 12-month full-time employees, that when the school was closed, we were never able to make up those days because we work every day, so you made the decision to pay us for storm days. Well,
Silly.
now that we've gone to hours, so we aren't necessarily going to be making up days unless we really get into this. What do you want to do with the 9-month employees? Because they are not now,
They're not
for
being paid
the last day and a half last week, they will not get the opportunity to make up those hours, because we won't have to make up that time. So they and the bus drivers will lose that time and never have the opportunity to get it back.
I don't know, I didn't get to go to work them days, I don't get anything.
I didn't go to work, but I got paid for it.
See, so I mean, it's, how do you,
Who can we, what committee can we send that back to? I'm
It's
serious.
probably gotta go back to the negotiation group.
There's discussion about it across the state. I
It's
mean,
gonna be,
If you
because-
look
yeah.
at it, you can see what other schools are doing.
Yeah.
It's been through the business manager listserv already.
that's, I mean.
I think it's
a
gotta go, I
problem.
don't know if we're gonna make a decision tonight on that
No.
at all.
I think it needs to go back to you guys. to do
We talked about that even at negotiating, because everything's gonna be working on, it's a change from the teacher side to any of these makeup things, and it was all gonna be how we're gonna handle these hour thing, compared to what it was in the past. You know, nobody really knew the answer, rightly? I mean, we talked, and we didn't know what the answer was gonna be.
Mhm.
To me, I think it's gotta go back to the negotiation group and get some input and relook at that.
I think this, it's a long phone call, isn't it?
Right?
But-
Going for 23.
So, or is that something they need to know for you for payroll for the week, or what, or that?
I heard
No?
I don't think that's gonna happen before November 1st.
Well, and
Pretty
you can
Huh?
always
We're done with
reset.
payroll for October, so there's nothing that I could change before the November 1st payroll anyway.
And you can, you can leave it alone and make it
We
retroactive.
could rec
Yeah, you
wrap
can
or
always
something.
go back.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think that's what we'll try to get some input and put the committee back together for
I
that.
mean, I think we can work something out on that.
Yeah.
I can print up the stuff that's gone down the list of
Might have to
So
just
sweet.
take a
what
look
other
at it and see how
business
these
managers
actually-
are coming up with.
You never know what the other things do either.
It's in the news right now.
So I suppose we should keep this
So,
going until.
yeah. we get that. So we'll negotiate, what kind of time, do we wanna get some input and look at this?
I think we should, we'll get a little input and see what they're doing in other areas.
So when do you
Probably
wanna
do
try
our
to get
next
back
meeting.
together by before our next meeting or something? I mean, with that. We're talking about the sick to, I think we gotta do some more research and then maybe send it to the negotiation group to decide on that. Storm day,
The
and that storm
9-month
day.
employee.
Oh, okay, yep.
Try to get some info,
Okay.
what other ones are doing, cause it's, the issue's gonna be across the state, what we're
Yes.
doing with some of this.
Yep.
That would be the cooks, the paras, and the bus drivers.
So how did it go?
$23, she'll take it.
I called it.
So
We
she
have a
said
new
she
mem-
was, she said I'm at $22.75, she said I can't really
Oh,
take a cut.
Well, you
She
could
said,
if you
how
really
high are
want.
you willing to go? I said, well, would you take 23? And she said, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Okay,
So she's gonna send an email to us, and
Could you let the other people know that?
I will tomorrow, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
contact the other ones. Okay, so we'll get some input back and then maybe try, if we got enough input back, we'll maybe schedule something with negotiation group before next meeting maybe.
Okay,
And if we don't have enough, we'll wait till we got some input to work with.
okay.
That thought, you guys? For that? Okay.
Makes
No.
sense.
No other correspondence or board discussion? Next meeting's November 13th,
Oh, no, no.
adjourned. So now we gotta set up a transportation.
Yeah, Rob said, he said he's pretty clear anytime. Just next Monday, there's a junior high football game, so he wants to be at that, but other than that, he said he's open.
Okay.
And he said,
We're adjourned.
Parents, I tell you what, we need to
he said
put that in
evening
the
or,
wash. This
He
school
said
board
evening
meetings
or
are more
morning.
important
Then what?
mornings or
than
evenings work
Rob
for
says,
him, he
get
said.
play football.
What works for the people we gotta get together with? Which works